I thought speaking English for 7 days would be easy, but what really happened shocked me in ways I never expected. Have you ever tried speaking only one language for a full week? No shortcuts, no excuses, and no mixing with your native tongue. At first, I laughed at the challenge. By the end, I realized it had quietly changed my life. Do you think you could survive 7 days like this? Let's find out together, because my journey might surprise you too. You are watching Storytime English. Here, every story teaches you something new and helps you grow with English. Let's begin. I woke up on Monday with a strange excitement. My new challenge was waiting for me. 7 days of only English sounded fun, but deep inside, I felt a little nervous. What if people laughed at me? What if I forgot basic words? I reminded myself this was a test of patience, courage, and practice. The first morning felt smooth. I greeted my family with, "Good morning." They smiled but looked confused. I never spoke like this at home. My brother asked, "Why English now?" I explained my challenge in simple words. He laughed and shook his head, but I continued without hesitation. When I reached college, things changed. Friends noticed my different style. "Why are you talking like that?" one asked. I said, "It's my 7-day experiment." Some laughed, some ignored me, but I kept my promise firmly. Have you ever felt alone in a crowd? That's how I felt on day 1. I struggled to order food. The waiter didn't understand me clearly. I repeated the words slowly. Finally, he got my meaning. It felt like climbing a mountain. Small words became heavy rocks. But I told myself, don't quit, because growth begins with discomfort. Day 2 started with fresh energy. I decided to practice more. I downloaded a dictionary app. Every new word went inside my notebook. I spoke loudly while walking alone. People looked, but I didn't care. Mistakes came again and again, but I turned them into lessons. Do you know the secret to improvement? It is simple. Make mistakes openly. By evening, my confidence grew stronger. I even helped a friend translate. He needed an email in English. I guided him step by step. For the first time, I felt proud. My challenge was giving me strength. Day 3 was harder than before. I had to give a presentation. My hands were shaking with fear, but I remembered my promise. I stood tall and spoke clearly. Some sentences broke, but I continued. Everyone listened with surprise. They didn't expect me to manage. Have you ever spoken with shaking voice? That's exactly how I felt inside. But after finishing, they clapped softly. That sound gave me new energy. I walked out smiling with relief. My English wasn't perfect, but alive. Day 4 brought an interesting twist. I met a foreign tourist nearby. She asked for directions politely, and I explained everything in English. Her eyes sparkled with surprise. "You speak good English," she said. That single line filled my heart. Validation from a stranger meant everything. I realized something important that day. Sometimes strangers encourage us more than friends. Back home, I started journaling. Each night, I wrote my experiences. It felt like talking to myself, but in a better, stronger language. Day 5 tested my patience deeply. I argued with my father accidentally. He wanted me to speak normally. He said English sounded unnatural here, but I stayed calm and explained. This is my personal growth journey. At first, he was angry. Later, he quietly respected my effort. That's when I learned real communication. It is not about words, but respect. Have you ever argued in another language? It feels like running with heavy shoes. Still, the argument taught me patience. and patience became my silent teacher. Day 6 felt like a turning point. English started flowing more naturally. I could talk without long pauses. I even cracked a small joke. Friends laughed and joined the conversation. Finally, I didn't feel left out. Confidence is like a slow river. It builds strength drop by drop. I realized practice was paying off. My brain was adapting silently. Day 7 came with mixed feelings. I was happy but also sad. Happy because I survived the challenge. Sad because it was ending today. I spoke freely from morning till night. Even strangers understood me without problem. I ordered food with clear words. The waiter smiled and served quickly. That small success felt like victory. Language had become my true weapon. At night, I sat on my bed. I reflected on the entire week. What had I really learned? More than just English, I grew. I learned mistakes are not failures. They are doors to improvement. I learned confidence is built daily, not in books, but in action. I learned communication connects hearts. It is more than grammar and rules. Would you try such a challenge? Imagine your growth in just 1 week. 7 days changed my entire view. What about your next 7 days? If I can do this, anyone can. Because progress belongs to the brave. So speak, even if it feels wrong. Because silence teaches you nothing new. And that was my journey. 7 days, endless lessons, and hope. The next morning felt strangely quiet. No challenge was waiting for me. But my mind kept whispering softly. Why stop if it helps you? I realized the journey wasn't over. It was only the first chapter. So I extended my rule secretly. I decided to continue for 30 days. Why only 7 when growth feels endless? Why stop when the engine has started? Day 8 began with stronger discipline. I planned my day around English. I watched news in English only. I repeated sentences like a child. My pronunciation felt sharp and clean. Slowly, my tongue found new freedom. Have you noticed how children learn? They copy, repeat, and never quit. That's exactly what I did. Copy, repeat, and improve daily. Day 9 brought a new challenge. I had to help a neighbor. She wanted help with her resume. It was written in broken English. Together we fixed every line, and she felt ready for interviews. She looked at me with gratitude. "You saved me today," she said. That line gave me deep motivation. My English was helping others now. Learning became bigger than myself. It became a tool for service. Day 10 tested my listening skills. I joined an online English webinar. The speaker talked very fast. I caught only half the words, but I refused to give up. I wrote notes without full meaning. Later, I checked each new word. Suddenly, the talk made full sense. Isn't it strange how effort works? At first, nothing connects, then everything clicks. That night, I smiled in silence. The challenge was shaping my identity. Day 11 brought a social test. A friend invited me for dinner. Everyone spoke in mixed languages. I stayed firm with only English. Some teased me with small jokes. But secretly, they admired my courage. I could see it in their eyes. Respect grows when you stay consistent. Day 12 opened a new door. I tried thinking only in English. At first, it felt uncomfortable. My brain resisted every single thought. But slowly, words began flowing naturally. Thoughts shaped themselves into clear sentences. Have you ever argued with your mind? It feels like two voices fighting. One said, "Go back to normal." The other whispered, "Keep moving forward." I chose the second voice bravely, because growth lives in that direction. Day 13 brought pure excitement. I watched a Hollywood movie without subtitles. At first, I felt a little lost, but slowly I understood the meaning. I laughed at the funny parts. I even felt emotions more deeply. Movies became my silent teachers. Stories became my invisible classrooms. Day 14 was full of surprises. I received a message from abroad. An old online friend texted me. He asked if we could talk. We spoke for 30 minutes straight. No mix-ups, no translation, only English. I realized the world became smaller. Language had broken invisible walls. That moment filled me with joy. Finally, my effort had real proof. Have you ever felt unstoppable? That's how my heart felt then. Day 15 came with reflection time. Half a month had already passed. I looked back at my notebook. Pages were full of new words. Each page told a silent story. Each word was a step forward. I felt proud of my progress, but I also felt deeply humble. Because learning never truly ends. It only grows deeper with practice. By then, I knew one truth. 7 days was just the beginning. This journey had no final destination. It was a lifelong commitment now. Day 16 started with a small victory. I understood an English song completely. Lyrics that once confused me now felt clear and meaningful. Music became a tool for learning. Each word, a tiny lesson. Have you ever sung a song correctly? It feels like claiming a small win. Day 17 tested my reading skills. I picked up an English novel. At first, sentences seemed heavy, but slowly, I felt the story. Characters spoke to me naturally. I even imagined their emotions vividly. Reading became a new adventure. It transported me to distant worlds. Day 18 brought a creative task. I wrote my first English diary entry. I expressed thoughts without fear. Even mistakes seemed part of progress. Writing strengthened my mind silently. Words built bridges between ideas. Day 19 had a funny moment. I tried explaining cricket in English. Friends laughed because I stumbled, but they also listened carefully. I realized humor works in any language. Even mistakes can create laughter. Day 20 was a huge breakthrough. I spoke fluently with a new neighbor. She complimented my pronunciation sincerely. I felt a wave of pure joy. Confidence was no longer fragile. It was steady and natural now. Have you noticed how practice builds courage? Even small conversations become powerful. Day 21 tested patience again. I attended a long online meeting. Every word mattered, every sentence counted. I wrote notes while speaking mentally. At the end, I felt satisfied. I had followed the conversation perfectly. Day 22 brought self-reflection. I realized my accent improved subtly. Even strangers understood me better. I no longer felt nervous to speak. Small improvements felt huge. Consistency had created invisible results. Day 23 was adventurous. I asked for directions from a taxi driver. His local slang confused me first, but I listened and repeated slowly. We reached my destination successfully. It felt like climbing a small mountain. Day 24 had an emotional lesson. I helped a young student learn English. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. I remembered my own struggles vividly. Teaching became a new joy. It made my learning feel alive. Day 25 was full of confidence. I spoke English while ordering groceries. Even the shopkeeper smiled warmly. No confusion, no hesitation this time. Small victories began to stack up. Every effort created a visible change. Day 26 brought reflection again. Half a month felt like a year. I remembered how scared I was initially. Now English felt like a natural habit. Have you ever noticed small habits growing? They quietly change your life. Day 27 was about social courage. I joined a group discussion at college. Everyone spoke quickly and confidently. I joined without fear or pause. They noticed my improvement immediately. Even teachers smiled at my clarity. Day 28 had a real-life test. I helped a tourist with a map. I guided them clearly and politely. They thanked me with genuine gratitude. It felt amazing to assist someone. English had become my tool to connect. Day 29 brought a big surprise. I received a message from my old English teacher. She praised my progress silently. I felt proud yet humble inside. Day 30, the final day of the challenge. I reflected on the entire month. From nervous beginnings to confident conversations, my journey was full of lessons. Mistakes became teachers. Fear became motivation. Language became a bridge, connecting me to people, ideas, and opportunities. Would you dare to try a challenge like this? 7 days is enough to start. 30 is magic. I learned one powerful truth. Consistency beats talent when you commit. And that is how speaking English changed me. 7 days taught me more than I imagined. Looking back, I realized this challenge was more than English. It was about courage, patience, and growth. Mistakes are not failures. They are stepping stones to improvement. Consistency matters more than talent. Even small efforts daily create huge results. Speaking English taught me confidence. It taught me to express myself clearly. Language became a bridge, not a barrier. It connected me to people, ideas, and opportunities. If you try a similar challenge, remember to start small but stay consistent. Don't fear mistakes, embrace them. Every error is a lesson in disguise. Practice, patience, and persistence matter most. These 3 will help you master any skill. Would you dare to speak only English for 7 days? If yes, start today and see the transformation. Your journey might surprise you too, and maybe inspire others to try as well. So speak boldly, listen carefully, and practice daily, because growth lives in action, not in hesitation. This was my journey. 7 days, endless lessons, and real change. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and share, and subscribe to stay updated with more stories like this. We will continue helping you speak English fluently, so stay tuned, practice daily, and never give up. Every story here teaches you something new and helps you grow your English step by step. Remember, fluent English is not a dream. It is a habit, and we will build it together. So stay connected, stay motivated, and keep practicing. Your journey to fluency starts now.